How's it guys, this is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now this video we're going to continue this little draft series that I've been doing with the Harry Kane, also known as the Hurricane draft. Not the best nickname there for the Englishman, but we'll just run with it for this video. So this video is going to be aimed to all of you beautiful people that want Harry Kane in your Game Week 1 teams. We're going to be going over two drafts that could potentially work, and we'll hopefully get some ideas rolling if you do want to kind of defer from the template a little bit and get the English striker in. Now with Harry Kane, it's a little bit of an interesting one. I think because of his reduced price and his consistent goal scoring form over the past couple seasons, a lot of people have kind of been keeping their eye on him. For me, it's personally more of a wait and see, but for those of you who have more optimistic views and have faith in Harry Kane, you kind of want to get him in since Game Week 1 due to his nice fixture against newly promoted Aston Villa at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So for me, as I said, a little bit of a wait and see, as he does have some tough fixtures in the opening 5, including the likes of Man City, where he could score, but you don't really bet against him or for him in that game. So firstly, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a reminder of our community code. It is BDFI35. Thanks to those of you who have joined. We've got a couple of pages of people on there, so hoping that you do join if you have not, and hoping that we can get a very good league going this season. Now just a quick update from the last video that I did publish, where I spoke about the top 5 cheap best budget enablers for our FPL squads. I got a little bit of an update for you today in this video. So since that video, we have seen a little bit of news forming, and that is we do have a new budget enabler potentially. Now you know it's a good budget enabler when the player does not even have a profile picture. That's right, we have uncovered someone here that some people were talking about, to be fair, but after scoring in their preseason fixture today, and even though I said you don't really take preseason that seriously, especially at now with almost less than a month left, we kind of focus more on the starting or ending preseason games to really consider these players. But after scoring today, Mason Greenwood is a potential new budget enabler. He is a striker or more a winger, but in FPL listed as a forward for Manchester United, and he is listed at 4.5 million. Now if you watched the last video, you can recall that I said that there wasn't really that many good 4.5 options and none that I was considering, so I therefore picked Shane Long. So now we have one that is 4.5 and could save you that 0.5 million for your team budget. Now Mason Greenwood, even though he did score, it was the comments after the game by the Manchester United manager that really drew my attention towards him. He said he has got a chance of starting that one, definitely, when referring to the starting lineup for the opening Premier League fixture against Chelsea. Now, even though this might have been a little bit of a confidence booster from the manager to the youngster, I think that there might be some truth in there, as the wingers for Manchester United have not been performing that well and they are yet to sign a replacement for one of them. So I could see Mason Greenwood coming in and getting some much deserved minutes after coming up from that youth system at Manchester United. Now whether he performs is a different story, but if you have a player that is playing for a potentially top 6 team, you got to go for him at that price. So in this video, I've included Mason Greenwood in both drafts that I talk about, and I would advise you to maybe just keep your eye on him, as he could be a potential starter for Manchester United. And with his price, we can get those better players in that we would probably be in our starting 11. So just wanted to give you a little bit of an update, and if you have not watched the previous video, it will be down in the description, or I've created a playlist of the preseason for FPL for the 2019/2020 season, so you can go check that out for all the most updated videos and all the videos kind of covering the entirety of the preseason. So now to get into the drafts and what you guys have been waiting for. This first draft I've called the consistency draft, as it is a little bit more consistent overall with the budget. I've made some changes which I'll talk about, but the largest omission, as you would have noticed, is that of Sterling. Now, I have downgraded Sterling to De Bruyne, and it's whether you think that that is a downgrade. Personally, I do think it is, as Sterling is one of the most wanted players I feel this season, and I think that he's going to have a great season overall. He did even score 2 goals in Man City's preseason fixture today against West Ham. A little bit weird for me as they do play West Ham in the opening fixture, so hopefully it's a little bit of deja vu there and he does pick up the brace if you have him in your squad. So starting off, I have chosen Ryan for this draft. I've chosen the Brighton double up as there's been no concrete evidence that Heaton will be moving on from when I made my first draft video. So I've decided to go for Ryan as a little bit more of a safe pick. However, if news does come out that Heaton moves on, we will look at him or Pope as options. But as I said, Ryan gets between the sticks for us in this draft as he should start the season for Brighton. Then I've opted for Robertson, my concrete or cement pick from Liverpool, as he is just a little bit less of a rotation risk. However, you can chop and change any of these players for your own personal draft to give yourselves a little bit more flavor to them or suit your style a little bit more. So I've gone for the Liverpool double up of Robertson and Van Dijk, and I've kind of listed this as the more rotation proof lineup as I don't think Robertson or Van Dijk will be rotated much this season. But then I've gone for the cheap alternatives of Man City and Everton defenders with Zinchenko and Coleman. Now with Zinchenko, it's very much a wait and see for this one. If Mendy does not pick up fitness and recover from his previous injuries that he is currently training in Barcelona for, then Zinchenko will come into a lot of squads. I like Zinchenko as he comes in quite a bit cheaper than other Man City options such as Walker and Laporte, and he does play that fullback position. So Zinchenko comes into the squad at 5.5 million, and I hope that he keeps his spot in the squad. Then we have Coleman, who's also 5.5 and a little bit of an alternative to the popular Digne. He is on less set pieces than Digne, but he still offers excellent stats considering that he was injured and did miss quite a lot of the season last season. So he's also an attacking fullback, and hopefully he can bring some points if you go for this draft. Then I've spoken about De Bruyne. I still think he is a fantastic option for our FPL teams, but it does kind of weigh in on if he does start or not. He did register assist as well in the preseason game for Man City against West Ham today, so he's still looking like he's picking up a couple of minutes and still picking up a lot of assists. So I think De Bruyne is a great option here, and to be honest, there's not many in that Man City lineup that come in a little bit cheaper than Sergio Aguero and Raheem Sterling. Then we have Saleh, who is the main man and probably the captain for our Game Week 1 squads. However, Kane does give us an alternative route for captaincy. But Saleh comes into our squads with his teammate Mane still at the AFCON. They play in the finals against Algeria on Friday. One to keep your eye on as Mane might miss the start of the season. But as I've been saying, we've got the Community Shield to kind of look at the starting lineup and see if Mane is back. But Saleh is in our squad and is my kind of template player, as he's been in basically all my drafts and probably in most people's drafts. Comes in quite expensive, but I think he's personally worth it. Then we have Sigurdsson as well from Everton. Been in a lot of my drafts. You could easily swap him for a Richarlison, but I've opted for Sigurdsson. As I said in my previous draft videos, Everton just have such nice fixtures, so I've gone for an Everton attacker as I trust him the most. Then we have Tielemans from Leicester, who has recently signed for them. He played for them last season, but that was kind of a loan spell, and they've made that deal permanent, and he has moved to Leicester this season. He comes in at 6.5 and has opposition with Perez and the more expensive Maddison. I simply put Tielemans in here as he's been spoken about a lot, as he does have very good stats, even though he does have a relatively small sample size. So I've opted for him over Perez as I trust him a little bit more, and we're probably going to be talking about Perez a little bit later in another video. Hint, hint. And then up front, we've gone for King and Kane. You can kind of read it as King Kane there, as this draft is all about the Englishman himself, Harry Kane. So I've gone for King, a cheap alternative to Wilson. I personally do prefer Wilson, but with Kane in our squad and with the likes of De Bruyne, it's a little bit hard to squeeze all of this budget out. So I've gone for King. He should do well in this season. Sometimes takes penalties, but it's a little bit up in the air who's the preferred taker. Personally, I do think it is King, but you can't just rely on penalties to get you points all the time. King does have very nice fixtures attacking wise for Bournemouth, with an opening fixture game against Sheffield United. Then the man himself, Harry Kane, with that opening fixture against Aston Villa, as I said earlier in the video. I I actually have high hopes for Kane this season, and I do think he is going to do well, and I do think he might be a little overlooked in the FPL community, but for me personally, it's going to be a wait and see, as I could opt for the cheaper Heung-min Son when he does come back from his suspension. But for this draft, we've got him in, and as I said, he offers a very good captaincy option in my opinion, if you want to kind of sway from the template captain of Saleh or probably Sterling. Then on the bench, we have Button, who I've spoken about. Dendoncker, another cheap budget enabler, coming in for that 5th midfield spot. Then we have Greenwood, as I spoke about, another cheap enabler. And then our last budget enabler is Kelly. Tough thing about this draft is that the bench doesn't have the best performers. However, Dendoncker should start most of the games along with Kelly, so that kind of gives you a little bit of bench coverage. As I said, with these drafts, you can kind of vary it to your liking. You could downgrade Tielemans or Sigurdsson to offer yourself more bench budget. Going on to the second draft of the video, this is kind of the more out there draft, and it features the likes of Saleh, Sterling and Kane, the 3 big hitting players, and this kind of stretches our budget a little bit. I've managed to keep Robertson and Van Dijk in this draft with the budget spread, and the backline is basically exactly the same. The real change comes in here where we have downgraded Sigurdsson to El Ghazi from Aston Villa, another player who has made his loan deal permanent, and he joins the newly promoted side after having a relatively good championship season last season. We'll see how he comes out this season, but coming in at 5.5, that is relatively cheap in a section of midfielders where there's not that many budget options. The winger should offer some goals and assists, even though he has a tough starting fixture against Spurs away. So I've upgraded Kevin De Bruyne to Sterling in this draft, and as I said, I think Sterling's going to have a crack of a season, and he did score those 2 goals in preseason. So he's starting off the preseason quite hot, and hopefully he'll continue this form going into game week 1. We also will be able to see the Community Shield lineup to see exactly where Sterling is in terms of match fitness, but he should be ready to go and raring to go for the upcoming season. Still with King and Kane up front, and the bench stays exactly the same. This draft, as I said, is a little bit more heavy front, although it does come with a very good defense. So this draft is particularly appealing for me, as it does allow me to still have Saleh and Sterling while making use of Kane. The only reason I don't really like this draft is that El Ghazi could be a little bit of a hit or miss, and it also makes a use of quite a lot of budget options up front with the likes of King and Tielemans. And then with the bench, as I said, a lot of worry there, but Dendoncker and Kelly should start their games. So these are the 2 drafts that I've gone over, and I hope they've kind of cleared the air a little bit of the whole Kane saga, and hopefully maybe raises some eyebrows if you guys don't want Kane in your team, or maybe interests you a little bit if you do want him. Please comment down below your drafts. I'm really interested to see drafts. There have been quite a lot of variation, especially when we're including Harry Kane up front with the whole formation and lineup. Some people going even for a 5 at the back with just Kane up front. Could see some returns with that, and that's quite an interesting strategy to go by. So please like this video if you did enjoy it, and please comment down below if there's any other drafts you want me to do or cover in future videos. Subscribe if you are new. As I said in my previous video, I'm hoping to hit 10k before the season starts, and we've got about 3 weeks to do that, so I'd appreciate any support for the channel. If you're new to FPL, subscribe. I will be creating a lot more content, and also go watch that playlist of the preseason if you have not yet. Hopefully it gives you some tips and tricks to do well this season. Also subscribe if you have not and are enjoying the content and have just simply not subscribed yet. I appreciate any support on the channel. So otherwise, I'm going to be signing off. Hope you've enjoyed this video. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.